Hi, everybody. We are very excited today for our discussion. We are going to present on when the program is the problem, avoiding mistakes in program designs. And we're going to specifically focus on some recent survey data that we received from graduate and online students. And it really helps kind of form the basis for student motivations and enrollment priorities. And I am honored today to be presenting alongside some individuals that have done well in this industry so far. And Erin, if you could go ahead and give an introduction to yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Chelsea, and welcome everybody. I am Erin Minsart. I am the Vice President of Integrated Media here at RNL. So I oversee our team that does paid and organic lead generation. And I'm here today to offer a marketing perspective and insights related to the student expectations and enrollment priorities that we'll be talking about.
Wonderful, thank you. And I am Chelsea Hoffman. I am a Vice President for Enrollment Solutions at RNL, and I have experience specifically as being someone over enrollment as an enrollment leader. And again, I have the pleasure of having Misty and Tom with us today. Misty, you want to go ahead and give a quick introduction?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you so much, Chelsea. We're excited to be here. My name is Misty Kill. I am the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs at Columbia Southern University, and we're excited to be here today to share a little bit more about some of our success strategies.
And I guess I'll round us out. My name is Tom Heitman. I am the Dean of Instructional Design and Technology at Columbia Southern University. I've been at CSU for just about 13 years come May, and I oversee the team that works with faculty and course writers to develop the curriculum and the courses that we provide to our students. So I'm very interested and excited to discuss student expectations and what drives success. So thank you for having me.
Thanks, Tom, Misty, Erin. Yes, we're looking forward to this conversation. Specifically, Columbia Southern University has achieved some success, again, going back to the topic today. So just to dive in, there's going to be 3 key highlights of today's conversation, basically reviewing some feedback from what we received in the most recent surveys. And there's 3 key insights. 1, graduate students enroll in order to advance their career, and they are looking to make more money. Another finding was that cost, future employment, and flexible course options are what are driving these enrollment decisions. Again, these motivations, these excitements, what is drawing your prospective students to select you as an institution. And then also we have that graduate students will enroll in more expensive programs most frequently when they are flexible. So they're looking for those flexible course offerings and things that really meet their needs and their expectations. So with that introduction of kind of our conversation, I do want Misty or Tom, if you guys would lead in and tell us about CSU and kind of your history and where you've been.
Yeah, thank you so much. So as you can see here, we were established in 1993, so we have over 30 years of focusing on our mission to provide affordable, flexible, and quality higher education for our students. We started specifically focused on the occupational safety and health field. We actually provided certification in occupational safety and health in the early 90s, and we just sort of expanded from there into a variety of different programs. We did first achieve accreditation through DETC, which is now known as DEAC, and then later in 2022, we received our SAC-DSC accreditation. We are 100% online institution. Our administrative buildings are located in beautiful Orange Beach, Alabama, but all of our students and our faculty are 100% online. We do have about 25,000 students across several fields. Like I said, we still have a very large occupational safety and health program, but we've branched into other areas like business and psychology, some of the more traditional ones, but also some a little bit more unusual ones like OC safety, fire, emergency medical services, and that sort of thing. So Tom, did I miss anything?
I think that covers it. It's been exciting to see it grow over the years.
Awesome, thank you. Wonderful and beautiful building too.
Yes, we love it. It is amazing. It's one of a couple buildings that we have, but it is our main administrative building.
Perfect. Well, let's dive right in. So from, again, these 3 key insights that we're going to present about today, and then learn from you guys how you've executed these strategies. It seems as though you kind of had a precursor, or maybe someone gave you that secret information prior to. What are our motivations? So graduate students enroll in order to advance their careers. You see here, over 76% of the respondents said we want to advance our careers. And then more so diving into that, of those 76%, of course, they wanted to make more money, enrich their lives. So that's a overwhelming population, and a motivator. And it's a good key insight to understand what is guiding those students to your institution. Erin, you have any comments on this one?
Yeah, this is the heart of marketing and what I love. It's what's in it for me from the student prospect. And the key takeaway is that marketers and institutions have to address these factors from the very first digital touch point. You don't get many chances to make that critical first impression online, so it has to be done right and it has to be consistent. So from the first ad that your prospect sees to the landing page that they're going to ultimately complete that RFI form on, you have to personalize that experience and address what is most important to them. They may not care about what your particular university offers. They care what's in it for them. And when we take that focus and we shift it to outcomes and what's in it for the student prospect, we know that career outcomes and ROI, showcasing in-demand careers and employers, show them what they're going to get out of the degree. How does your institution match their needs? And we're going to talk a lot about our 2023 graduate student recruitment report, but based on that, we're really talking to millennials now with a small portion of Gen Z and Gen X. And with Gen Z and the millennials really entering in, these generations expect a very personalized experience. So you have to hit it right out of the gates, give them that personalized experience, and let them know that you understand what they need and your university's offering it.
Very good points. I love that you kind of brought that back again from your perspective, the marketing, the website. What are you doing to kind of showcase in a way that resonates with your personal or your prospective students, those applicants? So to show, again, showcasing that you can meet their needs. So from our CSU team, they have some ways that they've implemented these specific tactics, and they're going to cover those today.
Yeah, thank you. I'll jump in again quickly here. So as I said, we have about 25,000 students, 100% online. So really at any given time, we have hundreds of course sections running, thousands of students enrolled. And about half of our students have some kind of military background. So active duty, veteran, family members, that type of thing. One of the things that we found to be incredibly helpful and needed for our student body is the student support resources. So we have many different departments that really focus on student support. So we actually have a student support center, and it's kind of a one-stop shop where students can call in general questions, those types of things they can have answered right away. We also have an academic advising center. Every single student has a specific academic advisor, so they have that personal connection with that individual. A lot of times we have graduation and students will come in and they'll actually go through a formal graduation ceremony. They want to meet their faculty and they want to meet their academic advisor. So they really have built a relationship with that individual throughout the course of their academic journey. So we found that that's super helpful. We also have career services. So as students get through about halfway through their program or toward the end of their program, career services can really be very helpful to help them with understanding how to conduct an interview, how to develop a resume, those types of things. We have a support center, of course, math and writing help and support on maybe difficult assignments and that sort of thing. Of course, we have tech support. We have an office of student conduct and resolution in case anybody has any issues that they need to raise, any concerns that might happen. And then we have an amazing library that has a lot of resources, but also 24/7 access and support. And that's something that we found really beneficial for our student body, because you never know, especially online, and when we have a student body throughout the entire world, when they're actually going to be on and need the assistance for their assignments or need to get into the library. So we try to provide a lot of opportunities for our students to really create a sense of community. We have, like I said, a very large student body in the emergency services fields. So we know that they have different types of shifts. They're not just working an 8 to 5 shift as an adult learner. They might be on, 48-hour shift or something like that. So we do try to meet them and build that sense of community where they are and where they have those needs. We also allow for our students to have a say in that educational journey. We provide them with a sequence, we provide them with the degree action plan. All of that is live in what we have as their student portal, so they can see exactly what courses they need to take, what they've completed, what they have upcoming, what's required, how, the percentage that they've completed of their degree progression, all of that kind of stuff. So they're very aware of it at all times. And we also allow them to do what we call stackable credentials. And so what that is as they build toward their degree, they're able to stack specific courses that we've identified and earn badges or certificates along the way. So they continue to build their resume as they're working toward their degree. And we found that that's a huge added benefit for our students as well. As it says here, program variety really matters. So we did quickly learn that this is a big deal, and we developed a 10-year master plan that outlines what we want to develop for programs into the future. So we have what we have right now and where are we going in the next 10 years. We had our entire university provide input on that, which is over 1,000 people. We, of course, always have all of our programs fully developed and fully faculty led. So our faculty had a huge input, but we did a lot of research into future areas. We looked for outlook on growth. This is probably something that Erin is very familiar with. What's happening in the world, and then tying it all back to what CSU does best, which is trying to offer those programs that really give students the opportunity to grow and evolve in their chosen fields. So again, trying to meet the students where they have their greatest need is something that CSU has been very passionate about.
Wow, Dr. Kill, thank you so much. What an excellent overview. So it sounds like not only do you put a lot of emphasis in actually researching and understanding what your prospective students are interested in and your current students, you have really contributed to those resources. We won't go into those details, but if you've looked at the RNL results of these surveys, again, you hear that students want the personalization. So it sounds like you've got a team specifically dedicated to handle in a responsive way and personal way, their questions or their inquiries or what they need. You want to support them with their educational journey. Adult students oftentimes don't reach out for help. And so, especially if you've got an individual that's there reaching out and making sure that they're doing well, that's wonderful. Very good.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, oh, I'm sorry. If I could just jump in real quick, just to kind of hit on that, Chelsea, you're absolutely right. We've been very successful supporting students from start to finish. As Misty talked about with, the admissions and the academic advising and the plan and everything's right there all the way through career services and making sure that they're lined up to go where they need to be successful in their careers, but also in the middle within the courses. We spend a lot of time and resources making sure that students have exactly what they need when they need it. We've spent a lot of time attaching a lot of those student support, making that student services presence within the course. If they're in an assignment and they need help from the Math and Writing Center, there's a link right there. If there's an assignment that they need to utilize the library, access to the library is right there. So they're always one click away from having that support that they need, and CSU takes a lot of pride in that.
Wonderful. Yeah, of course, accessibility. You want to make things easier. And as a career advancement move, oftentimes these individuals, you mentioned your demographics, they're already out in the professional world. They currently have a job and responsibilities, and even a family from that matter. So very good. Awesome job. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, which again, it focuses and centers around the motivation. So from this perspective, we are taking a look at from, a cost, their future employment. Again, where can this take them in their career? And then the flexible course options, because they're very busy. Again, we just mentioned they might already have a job and they're wanting to get that next promotion, or they might have a very busy family. And so as you see here, cost, is 72%, 77% from the perspectives of those that are looking or that are already currently enrolled in programs. And then right beyond that is going to be the future employment opportunities, and taking again over 2/3 of the pie from that outset of what they're wanting to achieve. Erin, what do you think about this?
First, I just want to say it's so refreshing to hear that you're meeting the student prospects where they're at, because that's the basis of everything that we're talking about today, understanding what's important to them and addressing it, addressing it in your curriculum, in everything that you do, not just marketing. I always talk about marketing, but, addressing it at every touch point, not just marketing. Things like, how much does this cost? How am I going to pay for this? Those are the real questions. And then, how am I going to succeed? Is this the right modality for me? Is this the right, university for me? Is the location right? Is the support right? So you're checking all the boxes right away. And then ultimately, what job am I going to get when I graduate? Especially, taking a step back and remembering that we're really addressing millennials. They're careful about spending because they're the first generation that's facing a future with less wealth than previous generations, and they still haven't attained their peak spending power. So focusing on that cost and what's in it for me, and what am I going to get by investing in myself? And it may seem like a little doom and gloom with millennials, but I always like to think about the sheer volume. So the demographic has a lot of buying power, and both millennials and Gen Z place a lot of value in learning and development. So I think that this is an excellent example of meeting them where they're at, giving them something that they can see the return on before they've even invested in. So it's nurturing and helping them, and really just leveraging that student-centric mindset.
Right, absolutely. And great, call out specifically to these are educated buyers, if you will. They're students, but they're still making an investment, a very large investment, not only financially, but, to their future. And I imagine on the next slide, you guys are going to kind of talk about some other key things that you make it very easy for your prospective students to take a look at your value proposition, not just from the quality of programs, but again, back to that financial investment. Erin, would you imagine that their marketing team is pretty happy with what they've done so far?
When something that you're marketing is in demand and easy to deliver, that makes it more easier to market, but fun to market also, because you have it's student based, and like when we do our marketing, we spend a lot of time in developing that persona and figuring out what's going to make them go from awareness to consideration down to purchase, and ultimately to become a brand advocate. And all factors are singing such a great story here about the experience and setting that expectation up front. Because like you said, Chelsea, we're all doing our research. It's not like we just wake up one day and say, I'm going to do this. We're savvy, we're tech savvy. We look, we read, we're doing that all in the background before we've even maybe put up the signal that we're interested. So this is an amazing example of providing the market with what they want, and it only makes your marketing easier.
Very good. All right, team, let's give them a little bit of highlight again, going to how you've taken this information, you've successfully implemented some strategies and things that work for your prospective students.
Yeah, thank you. So we are very aware at CSU that cost matters. It is probably one of the top things that students, when you survey them, come back and say makes a difference in their decision. So they obviously want some programs, they want those resources, but cost, as Erin was mentioning, really has a huge impact on that. So at CSU, we do try to have a very low cost credit hour. We do have our texts and all of our learning resources included in the cost. We are very upfront with our costs. We try not to hide anything. We, for example, have free evaluations for students to be able to provide anything that they think might result in transfer credit. Because again, if you have transfer credit that you're able to move into your degree program, well, then that requires fewer courses for you to have to take and a lower resulting cost. So we do have those free evaluations for students who apply and just kind of want to see how much credit they would have to take to actually earn that degree program. We also provide learning partner discounts. We provide military discounts. And one of our new tools, which we're super excited about, our marketing team was able to develop, is our cost calculator. It is provided right on our website, and it allows students or prospects to provide their degree level that they're interested in, the program that they're interested in, and then any comparative colleges. And we have lots, I don't even know the number, many comparative colleges within this calculator that students are able to choose from, both online and in a brick and mortar setting. And then the calculator puts an output, and it includes all tuition and fees comparing CSU with those competitor colleges. Most times, I would say almost every time CSU is a lower cost, but even if it's not, we provide students and prospects and applicants that information. So again, we want to be very upfront, very honest about what our cost is compared to other schools. And if someone else is lower than us, then we totally understand, but we try very hard not to let that happen.
And I think just to kind of drive it home, you know, and Aaron, this goes back to marketing and kind of the big picture here. You know, it's low tuition, everything is included, but it's the value that you get. It's the services that you get. It's the smile that you get when you come to CSU, and that makes a difference. It's those little things that I think set us apart. That, as you mentioned earlier, Aaron, it makes marketing easier. It makes marketing fun, because everything that we do, we're doing for the student. And when you do that and you can still have a low cost, a low rate, I think that's what really has driven success for us.
Awesome, wonderful. Yeah, I've actually had the ability to take a look at that cost calculator that you have on your website, and I will have to say it is pretty impressive, and allows students, again, from that cost comparison to take a look and say, well, tuition, you know, the entire amount based off of my transfer credit too. I believe you said that was a component of being able to factor that in, is invaluable. Wonderful. So here is a point of data that we have that we want to include. Graduate students will enroll in more expensive programs most frequently when they are flexible. Now, Misty, Tom, you at CSU have been able to capitalize on over 50% of the influencers here. The most affordable institution, of course, is important. But when the program costs more or the same, but it's extremely flexible and kind of meets their needs, they're willing to make some concessions. And this is imperative too for institutions that may not be able to have that you know, competitive advantage in the tuition area. What do you think about that, Aaron?
Well, I personally lived this with my own MBA. I was 20 years out of undergrad, and I was terrified of going back. I didn't know how I would learn. I didn't know how I would be supported. I didn't know how I would pay for it. So all the questions that we talked about previously were on my mind. I ultimately went with a more expensive institution because it was hybrid. It supported me in all the anxiety that I had about going back to school and learning. So it's important to remember that if you know, cost is not your value proposition, to focus on what does matter: the modality, career outcomes, job placement, leveraging strength of faculty and peer networks. Things like this can often outweigh the cost for the right prospect. In our situation that we're talking about here today, it's really kind of the gold standard of affordable and flexible, and that to me really hits all the marks. And I just have to say that I love a good cost calculator, and you know, from a marketing perspective, that's I love it. But the pricing transparency is what's so important. That's a trend. There's pricing transparency right now in goods and services. In the job market, people are expecting to see what that salary is. So by putting that out there right away, I think that that's just a great way to demonstrate the forward thinking of not just cost is important, but flexibility and understanding that your student prospects are people. They have other things going on in their life, you know, much like you said, Misty, with you know, they're working adults, and that's very different. So to me, if we can balance cost and flexibility, you know, that hits a lot of the marks.
Awesome. So there is one additional point that we wanted to kind of drive into this, and going back to making sure that you have the accelerated course options, specifically when you're talking about those graduate and online students, right? So you see here, just from the data, that 70% of undergraduate and 80% of graduate students do not want a full semester term. So when they are seeking out or shopping for different types of institutions, they want those accelerated programs. So it's very, very important. And I believe CSU has really understood that and made some changes here recently, actually, to make sure that you have something that's flexible, also does have some structure to it, and engagement within your faculty and students. So bringing on that, talk through these items about your learning model.
Absolutely. So our course design is already accelerated. So it's definitely something where we listen to that data. And when we designed our courses, we made sure not to take the full semester time frame of that 16 weeks. So our courses are 8-week terms. And we do offer 11 different start dates for those, but we do have an add week as well. So really, if you consider the add week and being able to add or drop courses in that first week of the term start, we have 77 days of the full year where a student could actually start. So again, tying in that flexibility, understanding that people do have other things happening in their lives. We do allow students to take 3 courses at the undergrad or excuse me, yes, 3 courses at the undergrad, 2 courses at the grad level. However, if they are progressing well, if they have a certain GPA and things like that, we do allow them to meet with their advisor and make a request to take an additional course. So that would be 4 courses at the undergrad, 3 at the grad level. Of course, they have to make that, standard academic progression, maintain the GPA and all that type of thing. We want them to be successful, and we want them to be able to work with their advisor, work with their faculty members to be able to be successful. So we try to be as flexible as possible. We know some people want to go slower, so of course they can take 1 course a term if they would like. We offer the ability for them to actually skip terms if they like, for whatever reason, they have something going on in that 8-week time frame where they're just not able to take the class during that time. That's certainly okay as well. So again, that level of flexibility we think is incredibly important for our students, and it's just back again to meeting them with their needs, where they are in their life at the time. The other thing that I have to really brag on at CSU is our faculty. I think our faculty are one of our most powerful resources. We do know from research and data and everything into the various different fields that students, when they really connect with their faculty members, they're more likely to retain and persist and to make it toward that graduation. So our faculty members are amazing. We, of course, require that they're degreed, so they have a master's or they have a doctorate degree, depending on what degree level they teach at. But a lot of our faculty also have worked or currently work in the field. So it's very likely if you're to take a fire administration course at CSU, that not only does your faculty member have a master's or a doctorate and fully embrace and believe in the power of education, but they may be a chief in Atlanta or in Las Vegas or in New York or something like that. So not only can they understand the need for education, but they can also apply what you're learning to the field and provide real life application of that, which we find to be completely invaluable. And we get a lot of wonderful feedback from students on that as well. So I'll let Tom talk a little bit more about our course design and how that also has a very positive impact.
Absolutely. Beyond just flexibility, I think with the course design, one of the things that we provide is consistency to the students. The student is always going to know what to expect and where to get things. I think that goes back to the customer service model as well. Doesn't mean that every single course is going to look the same and that every single assignment is going to be the same. It just brings some comfort to know that when you start a course at CSU, you know how to access your faculty. You know where the syllabus is. You know where your assignments are. You know where to get your grades. All of the things that are the most important to you. And that's really what we've tried to drive home in this model of what we call life-paced learning. We have spent a lot of time and done a lot of research to determine what the best model for us is that keeps that flexibility, but also gives a quality learning experience to our students. And recently we have updated our model to include the main components that you see on this screen here. And by doing this, we're creating a very engaging, enriching experience. I know those are 2 big buzzwords right now, but our goal is to get the faculty as involved with the students as we can, because as Misty said, that's our most powerful tool at the institution. And they do a wonderful job engaging with our students. They're responsive to our students, and they just make it a great experience. And so through this model, we've incorporated enriching, engaging discussion boards. We want there to be conversation in our courses. That's what drives community. That's what drives success, is people's experiences. It brings that experiential learning to the courses. So in Unit 1, obviously we have students get to know each other. You know, we ask them to introduce themselves, but we also get that conversation going. We give the faculty flexibility to determine what they want to discuss. They know the content, they're the subject matter experts, so they can drive that conversation. You know, what's going on in the world related to the topic at hand? What concepts have you learned that you can kind of start a debate, a healthy discussion around? And we have our faculty throughout the course will respond to every single student at least once, because we feel that that's extremely important, because the students can sit there all day and talk to each other, but if you don't have someone mediating and driving that discussion, you know, it can sometimes go in different directions. So we've seen discussion boards, you know, start at the beginning of the course, but they don't end until the end and beyond, you know, because you're not only building community, you know, you're forming those relationships. So I think we've really harnessed the power of a discussion board and put that in the hands of our faculty, and they've taken it and they've run with it. One of the things that we've seen hugely successful lately are live lectures, where in our courses, at least twice, each course, the faculty hops on, they determine the time up front, so the students know exactly when these live lectures are going to take place, and they have a discussion. And the beauty of a live discussion is you can kind of take it where you need it to go. The faculty will have, you know, kind of a scripted, this is what we're going to talk about it today, but if questions come up, that's the forum, that's where you can actually get in there and talk in real time, you know, that synchronous learning component. And the students have loved it. I mean, we've got survey data saying, you know, I wish we had more of these. I wish we had these, you know, years ago. So we're seeing that is hugely successful. The faculty are taking to it. You know, whenever you do something live, there's always that initial fear of how is this going to turn out? You know, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to fill an hour? But we've just seen it be a seamless experience, and the faculty have taken it and run with it, and the students have responded greatly. We have, as it says here, reflection journals. You know, when you think academics and when you think college, you think stressful tests and, you know, I got to make this deadline, and, you know, that's not what it should be about. It's about learning, and a big part of learning is reflection. And so what we've seen is by providing low stakes opportunities for students to reflect on what they've learned and take them out of that, you know, 50 multiple choice question, you know, you have 2 hours to do it, or here's a bunch of math problems that you know, it's not all about that. You know, let's just stop. Let's have kind of a journal. Let's reflect on what we've learned up to this point, and have a discussion with the faculty member about that. You know, through feedback and through discussions, you know, they're reflecting on what they've learned and connecting that to their experiences without having to worry about the hustle and bustle of a typical academic, you know, experience. And we've seen a lot of success with that as well. And finally, authentic assignments. You know, assignments drive the course, right? You know, you have your learning outcomes, and you leave with the knowledge that you need to be successful. So what better way to do that than bring authentic things that you would do in the real world to the academic experience? You know, we have in the arts, you know, College of Arts and Sciences, we have art appreciation course where, you know, they go to an online art gallery, and they have to go look through different pieces of art and select those and write a report on that. So they're actually going somewhere and doing something. In biology, we partner, we're big on technology. We partner with our publishers, we partner with third-party vendors. We are 100% online, but we still want, again, that authentic experience. So in a biology course, we've brought, you know, virtual labs into the classroom, where they're actually doing experiences, testing DNA and things like that, where they're actually getting the beaker and putting it and pressing the buttons and throwing things away and doing the steps and writing out the checklists, bringing that authentic experience. Um, Something as simple as video, our fire courses. Just about every single fire course has a series of videos from a subject matter expert talking about the content. It's not crazy. There's no super huge bells and whistles to it. There's no music and lights that introduce it, but it's just simply that subject matter expert, that faculty member talking about their experiences in short spurts, 3 to 5 minutes, not an hour-long lecture. Just, hey, we learned about this, this is what could happen based on what we learned. These are some of the situations that you may find yourself in. This is how I, as the expert, looked at that situation, found a solution, processed it quickly, and literally put that fire out. So, it's really neat to kind of see those things come to life and not always just be, written pages and pages of lectures. And finally, something as simple as in the business college, going out and interviewing someone. There's entrepreneurs out there, there's leaders out there. That's most of the time in business, it's people. You're talking to people, you're problem solving, you're trying to get to a common goal. So what better way to teach that than to go out and interview someone in your community, a community leader, an entrepreneur, a business owner. Go talk to them, come back, use it in a discussion board, use it in an assignment. So getting them involved, getting those assignments as authentic as possible to close that gap between the classroom and what you're doing in the real world at your job has been very successful for us. So, I feel like we've structured that in a model that's very easy for our students to absorb, and very easy for our faculty to engage them with. And these are the key components of that model.
Wow, that's one of the biggest things that I could say right now. Wow, congratulations, fabulous job. There's so many things to unpack, and I had so many thoughts as, Missy, you and Tom were mentioning the flexible things that you offer, again, that meet these students' needs, but also you've created as an online institution a tangible, affiliation relationship between your institution, your courses. Not only that, but then the students within the course through your engaging discussion boards and live lectures, and then you survey them, right? You want to know, how did we do? From a change perspective, I thought about that too. Students don't necessarily like change, and so you've set your courses up in a way that they do have that repetition, that familiarity, and so not boring, right? But they are comfortable when they do log in their courses, and they know where to find things. And if they don't, or they have something that comes up, they have somebody that they can contact. From a faculty member perspective, we've seen our data show that students usually like to reach out to a support service, that academic advisor, or I believe you mentioned a student support representative, because they want those fast and quick answers. Now, when it pertains to the particular course, of course, they're going to want to talk to that faculty member, and you've made them accessible and responsive. And even from the live lectures, they get to know each other, and just awesome job. Gamification too is something that I believe we discussed in a prior conversation we had, and that's one thing. So these live lectures, these discussion boards, they're all graded, right? So there's a sense of accomplishment.
They absolutely are, and we completely agree. Something that both Tom and I mentioned, I think Aaron mentioned this as well, it is building that sense of community, and it is using all the resources. And so we want students to progress. We want to see them at graduation. That's the end goal for everyone, right? So we want to give them all the resources possible. So if they want to connect with a faculty member and maybe start networking with them, or having a mentoring relationship outside of the course room and things like that, we want to give them that opportunity. However, if they don't really want to, that's completely fine too. If they want to talk to their advisor, if they want to talk to some specific department, our librarians, our tech support, or somebody else for some specific reason, we absolutely want them to have that opportunity when they want it. And that's another really big thing with adult learners, is they're not able to always reach out during a workday, right? So we want to give those extended hours. Like I said, our library, for example, is 24/7. Anytime somebody is able to actually go to the library, have assistance to search for resources and that type of thing. We are trying very hard to find every way possible to build a community and make it as smooth as possible for the students to make it to graduation.
Wonderful. Well, going back to the original concepts and the insights for this conversation, again, we wanted to kind of found it on the basis of the survey data that we received, and then hear from leaders out in the industry that have successfully employed tactics and strategies to make sure that they have programs that students want. So it seems like you've done a phenomenal job, especially not just these three areas, but further extending beyond to make sure that you are what the students seek. And from a brand recognition too, it seems like your programs, when you mentioned that earlier, setting those up in a way that builds growth. That's a matriculation insight right there. There's a strategy for your enrollment growth to make sure that not only do you have students for that one degree, but if they are interested in moving on further, you've got those programs that follow each other. So just again, phenomenal job. Thank you for sharing the information today. It was a great conversation. Erin, anything to add just kind of at the end as we conclude?
Just so impressed that you're bridging the digital connection. You're able to make personal connections in a digital world, and that's what it's all about right now. And it's refreshing to see your agility and your ability to pivot and just make sure that you're meeting the needs of the students and meeting people where they're at. That's what we all want in today's society.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining with us today to highlight these very important aspects again of making sure that you have a program that is marketable, that is set up for growth and viability within the industry and the market. And Tom and Misty, I just can't thank you enough. Of course, Erin, for all of your valuable insights and suggestions too. We hope that you've benefited from this conversation, and any questions that you've passed on through, we will do our best to get back to you. Thank you very much.